Untitled Beatles podcast.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah. Technical difficulties. Peter Jackson, Jeff Jones, Calderstone. You want to shut us down? Well, like Dee Snider once said, we're not going to take it. That's Ringo's going to cover that on his next EP. We're not going to take it with a reggae beat. Hey, Twitch and shout.
Twitch and shout. Yeah. Thank you.
We're late.
We're a little late.
Like John every day.
Yeah. Yeah, we just kind of roll in. Thank you so much. It's the Chicago4Real Twitch channel presents Twitch and Shout. We are the Untitled Beatles podcast. I'm Tony Mendoza.
Yeah, I'm TJ Shanoff. Thank you to Chicago4Real co-founder Justin Kaufman for getting us online. We were struggling, Justin. Thank you. And thank you to all of you for your patience and for joining in. It is Get Back Part 3. I'm so sad it's over, but now we can finally assess what this all was. I'm going to get out of the gate and say thumbs down. Take it, Tony.
Okay, well, that's great because I didn't really want to talk about it. I wanted to talk about the Beatlemania double disc here.
Fuck. Keep talking.
On Pear Records. It's my favorite label, and I think it's TJ's favorite label too. It's pear with the fruit, but spelled like, you know, a good pair, like the Pink Floyd record.
Oh, we lost TJ for a second. I was going to sub in and do a TJ impression, but I can't do justice to it. Oh, there he is. What has he got?
Can't find my Pear Records version, but here's my version, Arista version.
So who wore it better? Who wore it better, Pear or Arista?
Well, Dave Dexter cut several songs from the Pear Record version. Dude, it's like Hey Jude, your back cover is my front cover.
Oh yeah, and my back cover is your front cover. How about that?
Well, let's only talk about that tonight.
Yeah, no, thanks for your patience and our stupid bits. Even though they're Beatle related, they're still stupid.
Yeah. Why don't these guys start getting serious? The Beatles weren't funny. Fuck you. The Beatles were hilarious. They're Wyman comedy. That and a slight addiction to bourbon. Go on, Tony.
Part three, man. Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, man. I love it. I loved every minute of it. All my fears, I've mentioned this in the last 2 episodes, but all my fears and concerns went out the window. Peter Jackson came through. He gave us the entire rooftop concert. I didn't think he was going to do that. I really thought Disney was going to be like, oh no, who wants to hear Get Back 3.5 times? Who wants to hear I Got a Feeling twice? Don't Let Me Down twice. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think people trusted. I didn't think they would trust the public to, you know, put that much in there.
Yeah, I think that when they knew what was happening with the Beatles' approval, I think Peter Jackson could do whatever he wanted to do at that point. The length of this thing, the amount of things you don't ordinarily see on Disney Plus, the smoking, the swearing, the light making out with Yoko and John when Yoko's divorce went through.
Yeah, during a song.
Come on, that's a little weird.
It was, yeah. I never saw anyone on Second City main stage do that, like making out during.
Back in the 80s, they just made out with bags of cocaine and former Bayer Joe Kane. So, Tony, I've got criticism. Should we get to what we love and then go to the criticism? It's my first episode where I'm critical. And if there's comments, producer Casey's with us. He's going to do an imitation of me. Shave your head and do it. Say a mazel tov and just say something stupid.
I don't have a piano and I'm not an improviser, so
Me
maybe
neither.
I'm gonna do me.
Yeah, you do you.
You do you, as the kids say.
Yeah.
Kids.
So TJ, you were recommending we do more of a shit sandwich scenario where we go good criticism, good afterwards, so that we don't hurt any feelings?
Should we do Marry, Fuck, Kill, Get Back Part 3?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
I love. We did this once on the podcast, and no one was ready for it.
We're 14.
It went so well.
Yeah.
So, who wants to go first?
We could do that, or we could do if Get Back Part 3 was a joke from the Andrew Dice Clay routine in '89.
I only remember that from the bus, man. I haven't heard that.
Little boy blue.
I like this. I like Lee's pitch for this. Is how about let's take some predictions on what we think TJ didn't like, and then maybe let's just dive into your criticisms. We'll fawn about it. We got plenty of time to fawn about it.
I would love to. I think my criticism is one that let me start by saying this. What I miss so much from the original Let It Be movie are the mostly complete, if somewhat boss hog edited versions of the songs they performed January 31st in this film were not present. And Michael Lindsay Hogg's use of Two of Us, Let It Be and Long and Winding Road, and the original Let It Be were among the most glorious parts of that movie. I missed that here. I understood going to the credits and then going in and out. And the other complaint I have about the rooftop performances, while gorgeous, I want to defund the fucking police after this. Enough. You want to build the tension. God forbid I want to hear them sing. I've waited all my life to see and hear the rooftop in pristine quality. And I got fucking Sergeant Pelcher. No, what are their names? I wrote them down there.
Pelcher's the drug guy.
The drug guy who
I called him the Devil Rays because both their names are Ray.
Yeah, Ray Dog, who also sang a great blues cover of Lady Madonna, and Ray Schaller, and then David Kendrick. I respect the narrative Peter Jackson went for, but you spend the majority of episodes 1 and 2 and most of episode 3 giving us everything we want. And while I don't mind the cutaways to the street, all the police dialogue over the rooftop performances really did drive me crazy. I pray that when they do a home video release of this, you get the unfiltered, unfettered entirety of the rooftop without those cutaways. Am I crazy? We'll be right back.
You are crazy, but I agree with you. Yeah, I found that distracting. I liked how it played into the story. You're right. Yeah, I wish they hadn't done it over the music, but I guess he was staying true and honest. I liked there was a the split screen thing, which was very of its time, and I actually quite like it. There's an Elvis live concert where they do that too. Elvis on tour. Anyway, there was like a 4-shot where the cops are happening and someone's complaining, but then the guy in the car is saying that he likes it. And then it's while the song is happening, and it felt like there was something really cool about that particular moment, because it felt like, this is how it went down. This is what it was like on this corner, upstairs, downstairs. It was cool.
Yeah, I mean, Beetle Dave and Mike both weighed in on this right from the jump. Yeah, this idea of like having the multi-camera angles. I disagree with both of you. I think the police narrative is like its own like Benny Hill kind of thing of just like watching the receptionist and the doorman kind of like having to like they're on a like retro episode of Ashton Kutcher's Punk'd or something, like the police officers are
topical.
Like,
you millennial.
They're making an album, I believe. Well, but they have to film it. That's why they're on the roof. And then like forcing the police officer to be like, well, but couldn't they dub the audio in? And it's like, what the fuck are these police officers doing? Like they're like drawn into this stupid trap. It's like a Jack Benny hijinks. And I think and I think with the multicam thing, you can watch it and just watch which part of it you want to. Like, I imagine, I know you can't totally tune out the police narrative, but I bet upon rewatch, you could be like, oh, let me just like focus in on the performance. Or let me just, I watched the police narrative. I put the performance to the side because I was endlessly entertained.
With those weird straps, and they're like chewing and munching on those straps.
I know, that was weird.
Those policemen wear masks wear their straps the way assholes wear COVID masks. It's not on your face. What are you doing? What's the point of that? Casey, I agree. Yes, the cop chewing on his chin strap, not a metaphor. Casey, I agree with you, and Tony, you as well. From a narrative standpoint, obviously the whole police thing and the buildup and the tension makes perfect sense, but it's not. As the diehard Beatle fan, I want the entire rooftop unedited. Yeah. Why not? Why not give us that? That's what I don't understand.
But no, maybe we'll get that. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some DVD release. I remember when The Kids Are All Right came out, the Who doc on DVD a few years ago, and you could watch a couple of performances, and you had control. You could all the different cameras. You could control the cameras.
That's cool.
That would be fucking amazing if you could do that.
You know, especially with like streaming on demand stuff, I bet they could like build something like that into the app too. That's more of a choose your own adventure. Yeah. And yeah, Evan had that same note of just like, well, why don't we get everything that they performed up there? I bet we'll get that in the Blu-rays, right?
Yeah. Or hopefully maybe an LP. Maybe they'll put this rooftop thing out, you know? Or maybe I really hope there's a music we're always giving our money to these guys, and that's okay. We seem to like it. I'd be happy to give them more money if they would do that, you know? So
here's the problem. We all need to rebuy McCartney 3 on rock vinyl made of rocks from the Newberry Comics and fucking Target versions are going to be, and it's only $45 to hear Find My Way Again. Great. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to start with that and button it also by saying, obviously, episode 3 was stunning. The totality of this project is a grand slam. It's an A+. It's probably the greatest Beatle documentary, even over anthology, by virtue of the intimacy and the focus on this one particular month. But it did get me a bit at the end that we're kind of building, and then to not have the payoff. If they're going in chronological order, why couldn't this one be 3 hours? Give us all of Let It Be. Give us all Long and Winding Road. Give us all the two of us, just like Boss Hogg did.
Yeah.
Duke's a hazard horn for you in a high register.
I got that. Thank you. You know, when they shot those bow and arrows, how did they make a car explode? But anyway, that's a different
shoot
topic.
Those bow and arrows through my heart. Tony, big fan of British popsters ABC.
Well, what was my disappointment? I had one. Sorry. I may not be able to do the shit sandwich thing on the.
I'm just killing time while you look.
Oh, I know what it was. It's a huge moment. I wanted to hear them sing Three Cool Cats.
Touch a boom.
Let's Bésame Mucho, but that too. But Bésame Mucho.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
I get my Decca all confused.
Yeah, Bésame Mucho was in Let It Be, the movie,
right?
But Three Cool Cats was not, and I like that version that they did.
Slow kind of grooving version, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I wanted to hear that.
My only disappointment, real quick, before I just dive off and go back to comment. It's not a disappointment in Peter Jackson or Michael Lindsay Hogg's work. It's a disappointment in general. If you're doing a cool thing, but the people down on the street with the cameras and the microphones have to explain to people what's happening. Like, that is the most uncool. Is like, there's a bunch of people gathered in the street playing songs that no one's ever heard before, which is actually also kind of hard to imagine, right? Like, imagine having never heard Get Back.
Right.
And being like, do you like the music you're hearing? Do you know that it's the Beatles? Is like, that is so uncool. It's like, I don't know how you do it better. I don't know how you fix that, but it's.
Well, here's how you fix it, nerdy. Producer Casey. If you ever want to imagine a time when the world didn't know Get Back, rent the movie Yesterday. I think you'll get a real feel.
I thought that was a documentary. I thought that was based on a true story.
Peter Jackson's Yesterday, coming 2060.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. All right.
He gone. I mean, that's a good point. And there were a couple other things that were either missing or shortened. I want to piggyback on something I said that was Untitled Beatles podcast controversial. And yesterday, when I called Michael Lindsay Hogg a hero, setting up all those camera shots and being the director, I don't know if that was his idea or if that was the DP's idea. I can't speak to that. But Michael Lindsay Hogg for 1969 had some really great ideas for getting all those shots. There could be no 3 camera shots horizontally without Michael Lindsay Hogg and what he established. I think he gets a lot of credit.
I agree. Now I'm going to push back on that. Here's something. How many shots of Billy Preston are there on the rooftop?
It's one of my big notes. Some of that's blocking issue. Billy Preston is blocked too far upstage right. They needed a director to come in, and I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate that you barely see any of Billy Preston in those shots. Although when the cops are behind him, I'm going, thank God this isn't America in fucking 2021.
Oh yeah,
that would have been it for Billy Preston.
Beatles would be dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of our favorite moments. And, obviously there was a whole lot of film before we even got to the rooftop. But that, of course, that's the thing you want to talk about the most. Yes. What our holy, I still don't know what the third word is. Holy sweat.
I didn't want to say shit. I felt weird saying shit. So it's your holy fucking moment.
There's so many little things. I mean, okay, so it opens up with George singing Window Window. I mean, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but that's one of my favorite songs. That's one I wish George had done proper, man. So it was cool to hear that. I love that song. And then little Heather Eastman comes in her, I don't know if you remember the Sour Grapes bunch from the Banana Splits show, but I feel like she's one of the Sour Grapes. She's so fun dancing around.
It was so cute. And Jackie Lomax was part of the Sour Milk Sea bunch. The spin-off.
I think that's where Grimace came from. The original Grimace came from the Sour Milk Sea bunch. But my one of my favorite moments with little Heather was when she hears Yoko doing her freak out bit.
Yep.
There's like a 2-second reaction that's so cool. It's like her face is so peculiar, and then she goes and does it on the mic, and John says Yoko when little Heather I just thought that was so fun. That was so cool, man. That was a fun moment. Yeah. Do you have any other? Yeah. What about you?
I've got 2 holy shit moments. One of them, there's a take in Let It Be where Billy Preston does a little turn on the electric piano before the chorus starts that I'd never heard before, that I kept rewinding. I mean, my in general holy shit moment is how happy George Harrison is. It's the happiest he's ever been in the doc, is most of episode 3. And Billy Preston being that bringer of joy. We always knew about it. We've seen bits and pieces, but one of Peter Jackson, I keep wanting to call him Phil Jackson, one of Peter Jackson's master strokes is subtly showing how Billy Preston lifted that band, and they're all getting off on listening to him play. Also, another holy shit fucking moment was, and Carrie, my wife, pointed this out. She goes, George Martin's finally producing. It's now that they're back in a studio, George Martin doesn't feel like the Beatles athletic director standing by making sure Coach Glenn Jones is doing an okay job. He got back to producing, and at one point there was something going on, and George Martin looks at him and says, "I'll fix you, lads. I'll fix you."
Yeah. It was
beautiful.
when they were having all those sound issues with the PA, and it was a mess. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh, I know what the Heather thing was not a holy shit moment for me. That was a fun moment, but a holy shit moment was the one of the I Want You jams in the studio. I think it was the one with, I think it was the I Had a Dream version, right? I forget which one goes long, right? The one that goes long. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
The I Want You jams singing lines from MLK I Had a Dream speech, so cool. And I love that Peter Jackson let it go. A lot of these studio jams get cut into things as short as like 3 seconds. Yeah. This one he let play out, and I loved it. That shot, that overhead shot, they do a little punch in zoom, a little slow zoom into Billy tickling those 2 notes really with He's dancing around him a little bit, but
Yes.
love the overhead shot of the keys. Yeah, Beetle Dave. Yeah, we're on the same wavelength, man. I want to
go on, please.
Related. Here's this from Bert. My favorite shot of the episode was Billy reading the paper while half-heartedly playing the organ. Right. He's got the paper in the right hand, organ on the left hand. As someone who sat in many sessions waiting for a band to get their shit together, I've never related to a Beatles scene more. That's good, Bert. That's
also,
good, man.
Ringo's asleep a lot. Ringo's just a grade A napper.
Long and Winding Road's a sleepy song, man. He's not asleep on the roof. I'll tell you what, man. He brings it on the roof. That he's in his sweet spot on the roof. And even on Dig It, Old Brown Shoe.
Yeah.
When he locks with Billy, when Billy's shaking his head, like, oh, that's a fun moment because they have a moment, and that's so great. That's so great.
Two oldies moments, though one isn't that big of an oldie, that were holy shit fucking moments to me. Paul playing and singing Strawberry Fields was a crier for me. Now, Paul, for those of you who saw him, the second half of that 89-90 tour, he did a Lennon tribute medley that I want to say was Strawberry Fields, Help and Give Peace a Chance. God bless you, Hamish Stewart and Robbie McIntosh. It was not a little rough hearing Paul do that. It's on I think it's on the CD single of All My Trials for you collectors.
Oh,
but
wow, man.
It's not that great, but hearing Paul do Strawberry Fields and Ringo in drums, I'd love to do. I keep waiting for someone to hand a tambourine and be like, George Martin, I'm going to say, oh, we're going to need Alan White when they're doing Ringo's playing drums. Like, psych.
It was also an opportunity for a Rule of Three's Jimmy Nickel on that.
Right. It was Jimmy.
Yeah. What else? Oh, yeah. Some Evan Heather playing Ringo on drums was so adorable. Yeah, she was keeping time, man. She was actually they were doing Let It Be, and she was actually keeping proper. Yeah, don't you agree, Casey? Fellow drummer.
And her stick technique was like embarrassing. It's like, why does a kid that old know how to hold a drumstick properly? Impressive.
Well, she changed her name to Sheila E. and later played drums for Prince.
Wait, that's the same Sheila E.?
That is
Alan
Sheila
Parsons, Sheila E. The things I'm learning. This is wild.
Yeah. Kevin Harrington is Don Draper. What's his name?
And Ed Sheeran simultaneously.
Yeah.
We've never played a Sheila E. riff on the show. Little Sheila E. for you.
Yeah.
Sheila E. played drums with Ringo in the All-Star Band tour. It all goes back to the All-Star Band tour. And now to play guitar and act naturally, here's the guy from Supertramp. You know, I'm good. I'm okay. What other things caught your eye in this, Tony? There's millions of them, but what else stuck out to you?
Well, I mean, I like the two of us ventriloquist bit. I know we caught that on the preview, the teaser back almost a year ago. But that was so I saw it twice. I've seen it twice today, and it cracked me up just as much each time. Like, there's something about Lennon, especially. His face is maniacal. It reminds me of my buddy Alan, and I played with a band called the Bitter Tears with him, and it reminded me of that. So it was really fun. I love that moment. Yeah.
Help me out with this, because I know you're not a drug abuser, but you are drug aware. What did Yoko slip John? What was that? Or wanted Yoko slip John something that he put in his mouth? What was that?
That was a piece of gum. It was
it gum?
Yeah, I think it was Double Mint, Wrigley's Double Mint gum.
And that's why they should have played Wrigley Fields. What about Wrigley Fields Forevers?
I mean, I could be wrong about that, but there's a lot of gum. Gum, remember that? Yeah. Help.
Gum.
There's a lot of gum in this. I wonder if we're getting a kickback from them. Lee quickly confirmed. Whoops, we're hitting the same comment there. It was gum.
Okay.
And for Shantae,
good catch, Lee. Thank you for Shantae. In fairness, I was also watching a Frasier marathon on Netflix.
Oh, you were split screening Frasier.
I need some tossed salad and scrambled eggs, which inspired yesterday.
There you go.
Over this before
the movie yesterday. Full disclosure, I had considered going up on my own roof. Look, I have roof access right here at my place. I thought about going up on the roof tonight just for y'all. I decided against it. But it's there, TJ. We can do that sometime, after this new virus.
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
can be in person together again? Never.
Yeah.
No,
Never.
when the podcast is about to break up, we can go up and
There you
up
go.
and play. It was George working on something was another oh shit moment too when he brought that in. And we knew about pomegranate and all that stuff because it's some is in the book and we saw the preview. But seeing the songs be born and then seeing the songs come to fruition, when Get Back came to fruition, anytime what Peter Jackson did masterfully with a lot of the super titles, anytime it was, this is the version that appears in the Let It Be album, was pretty remarkable and chilling to me because we'd seen these songs worked out and you follow the pattern and then it's the song minus some mixing or overdubs, obviously, that you knew and loved. That was really neat.
Did you see Yoko during that? Real quick. I just have two notes that one note. She looked so fucking sour while George is playing this, probably his most beautiful signature song, other than Here Comes the Sun, maybe. But Yoko's just sitting there like, what is this shit? Anyway, hi, Casey.
Hi, sorry to jump in. I just wanted to piggyback on
No.
what TJ was saying. Like, I think Peter Jackson also, that's one of the things he did very masterfully was sort of ration out the music that we got. Like, I think my assumption is that there were many more songs that were much more complete in Twickenham, but he never really gave them all to us. And I feel like part 3, the music across the board was more complete, more like, I had more goosebump musical moments in part 3. And I appreciated that. Yeah, I appreciated that he like withheld. It felt like he withheld giving us the satisfaction of like complete takes and finished songs so that we could really land on them in part 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. There was some other,
we left out the moment. I got to put this back up here. Moment that made me gently weep with tears. Ringo farting. And George Martin's droll response is one of the funniest Beatle things. Funnier than anything in Help. Sorry, love Help, but I mean, that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, my note was 400th convo about what they're doing, and then Ringo announces his fart.
And he comes to it, which is great.
Yeah, good on him, man. He's just a shit kicker from Liverpool. Also, the only Beatle I'd seen wearing blue jeans in episode 2, getting back to like, none of them ever, maybe George wears some blue jeans, but like you hardly ever see the Beatles in blue jeans. We never actually talk about their clothes, like George and his crazy moccasin things and Ringo's loud shirts. It's pretty great.
George asked for a normal pair of shoes from the local shoe store.
Yeah, but size 8.
Do you know why we didn't see that, Tony? Because money talks.
Neil.
But it don't sing and dance and it don't walk. I might be in the wrong key. It's something but a fucking here with me. Forever in blue jeans, babe.
Thank you for me too.
When in doubt, play it in D. When in doubt, fuck it.
Also, I feel like it would be good to talk about the clothes a little bit. And one of the things I think we also have not really talked about at all is like, I think this is universally the sexiest all of these guys have been. My wife kind of disagrees. She's a little terrified of Ringo's styling and George's styling. But I think like it's obviously peak Paul McCartney sex appeal, right? Like that guy is just like knocking you dead.
Have John you not seen the Pipes of Peace cover?
No, TJ, I haven't, and I'm not going to.
Dip. Go on.
John looks a little ragged, maybe a little worse for the wear, but like once they get up on that rooftop, man, the hair blowing in his face, man, I just think that like, you know, this is like, and it's also kind of the last we see them perform in public, right? So if you like do the sort of their styles over the years, this is sort of like the last evolution we see of them, and they're just like, they're super hot, man. I mean, like, you know, they're super hot. Everyone's like peak sex appeal.
All of them, even Mal.
Paul's in his Mal in his t-shirt on that one day, his red t-shirt.
And the short ties. Lots of guys, like, I love how the ones who aren't the Beatles, it's like they were almost asked to be like, you need to wear a normal person uniform so that we can identify who's the talent and who are the
Right.
normal people, like, intervening in the studio.
And Glenn has a lot of style too, with those crazy
That's right,
glasses
yeah.
and all that. There's a lot of
fur
the fur coats. Yeah.
Was that his jacket that Heather was trying on when she came in? Like,
yeah,
she put on
probably.
one
It
of
was
those fur
white,
coats, that's what
right?
it was like.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of was like the babysitter a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. And it was cool to see. Also, Linda looked fabulous in her.
It looks great.
My
I
crush
love her calling out.
continues.
I love her calling out a cameraman who was trying to do an upskirt shot. Did you catch that?
Oh yeah, embarrassing. She said.
Embarrassing.
I was like, oh, let's remember
that.
that for we should use that for a drop.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's another a Glenn Johns thing I wanted to mention. George Martin, who seems like he's 70 years old all the time, and I love him. He always seems like he's a different generation. He's not that much older than the Beatles, but at one point when Glenn Johns is speaking, I'm forgetting the moment. Forgive me. When he's giving encouragement to the band, George Martin in the control room says he's so about Glenn. George Martin goes, he's so good for morale, this boy. And it just felt a little kind of, I don't think it was meant to be condescending, but that's kind of how it came off. And again, with the exception of that Sgt. Pepper movie orchestration, I love everything George Martin's ever done. I'm not trying to dog him, but interesting choice of words about Glenn Johns. He's so good for morale, this boy.
Yeah.
Was weird.
Yeah. He is, though. There's something about, I like him a lot. I really grew to like him. I knew very little about him other than he recorded like the first Zeppelin album and a lot of Who records and the Eagles and stuff like that. George Martin needs way more props than he gets for this album.
Yes. Post Twickenham, he was producing. I didn't know it, especially seeing the way it started when he seemed like a wallflower. One like they're not trying intentionally. So long ago, I don't. But it's absolutely true that like watching George Martin produce and the respect John Lennon has for him when George Martin's talking to him. Watching John treat George Martin like an equal was a beautiful moment to me, especially because I'm pretty damn sure after the breakup, John and George Martin never worked together again. George Martin worked with all the rest of them. He worked. I think all those years ago, George Martin might be singing backup harmonies with Linda and Denny and Paul. Yeah, I think so. And of course, orchestrated some stuff for Ringo for the solo stuff, but I don't think George ever worked with John. That's one of the last moments. Abbey Road, obviously, too, but on film where you see George Martin and John connecting, I think that's neat.
Yeah, there was that moment when after the sound issues and George's like, well, let's open up the piano first of all so you hear the piano. And you hear it very faintly. John says to George Martin, "Thank you, George," or something like that. And it's very sincere. It's this wonderful moment. Also, there's a little brief moment when they bring in an organ and another speaker or whatever, and John is doing some heavy lifting. He's doing some roadie work. He like helps bring in the giant, whatever that was, the big cabinet. It was pretty cool. Here's something I also saw Beatle Dave. I love when the studio crew played the Beatles instruments during lunch. The Clapper Kid was on drums. Who else was in there? I think Glenn Johns was in there, and I forget a couple other guys. Anyway, that was fun.
Now they all would have been fired.
Yeah, you don't do that. Yeah, that's what's kind of cool. That's what's kind of cool is that they were very accessible. I remember, like, we didn't get to it in episode 2, but when Michael Lindsay Hogg's all frustrated about yet again about the direction of the project, and he's like, all we got is a bunch of nose pickers and whatever he calls them, fart smellers or whatever he says. He has like 3 in a row that are like these like dirty, and then John or whomever says like, yeah, we're uncouth or something like that. And yeah, they were like real dudes, and it was cool. Yeah, the wine they were drinking, what was it, 1966? It was some Riesling, Deinhard. I tried looking up the price. It looked reasonably priced. I mean, for his time.
Can we get to this? Is Deinhard a Christmas movie or isn't it? Age-old question.
Well, yeah, any movie that says motherfucker in it to me is a Christmas movie. That's why I like Miracle on 34th Street so much.
One thing about Peter Jackson, I want to get your take on. There is some editorializing in this, and I think it's correct editorializing the way the ominous photos of Alan Klein, ominous is the wrong word, but these very pointed black and white shots of Alan Klein looking devious when they're talking about him. And even though I've
Right.
read this
The two
dialogue before,
phones.
yeah,
Whose baby
so
is this?
funny.
What's your angle? I'll buy that. Fred Flintstone.
Sells, right? Totally. But hearing John say, I think Klein's fantastic. He knows everything about everything. He knows me as well as you do, to George Harrison. John's drunk on Alan Klein, and it's another feather in Paul McCartney's cap for looking at Alan Klein and thinking, no fucking way. It's like that clip anthology where Paul goes, I remember I told them we're a big act. He wants 20%. We'll give him 15%. And they're like, no, it's got to be 20%. Like, Paul comes off looking way better in hindsight than I think he did when he was being blamed for the breakup. And it was 3-1 for much of the early 70s.
Well, yeah, it's proof. Yeah, it's just that. It's proof that John gets on kicks, Maharishi, even though that was probably more George's thing, but John really went into it, got in the helicopter, which we got to finally see that too. And
yeah, that was great.
Magic Alex. Now it's Alan Klein. Next, it's going to be Arthur Janoff,
John Sinclair.
Right. Yeah. Abby Hoffman or whatever, whoever the New York,
the Yippies.
The Yippies, Elephant's Memory and all that.
I also really loved that they were talking in the control room about Alan Klein, and Glenn's like, what do you think about that guy? I've talked to him and he's a total asshole.
No, he's a strange guy, he says. He
eases into it, but the subtext was he's a total asshole. Like, why you like that guy? Like that guy who's a total asshole to everybody? Okay.
No, Glenn is spot on, man. Glenn is spot on. And the way he was so graceful in the way he delivered that, he was trying not to burst the bubble, but also he was trying to provide caution, saying like, I don't think he's great. I think he's strange.
A weird guy. Yeah.
With his New York walk and his New York talk.
We don't know what that means.
I do. Makes me sad. Stop being anti-Semitic, John. Baby, you're a rich. Oh, right. That was, what a great story that was, Mike.
Yeah,
Mike. John's told that story perfectly.
When he doesn't like your answer, he asks another question. Yeah. That's where it starts off real fun. That day they're playing, they do Dig It. The next day they're listening to playback. They're in their groove. They're in this groove. Then they go off and see Alan Klein, and then it turns back into the 400th conversation about what are we doing? Michael Lindsay Hogg, Paul, and Paul takes on that producer's weight on his shoulders, and the next thing you know, like, that's when they're jamming out doing I Want You, She's So Heavy, I Had a Dream. Paul's on the Hawaiian, but he's like somewhere else, man. And before that, when they were doing the remake of Dig It, like, he's doing it on the microphone. You can't see it, but his eyes are fucking dead, or somewhere else thinking about, what is this project? I'm bummed that we're only doing 7 songs instead of 14. And that circular conversation that is nearly 8 hours of this movie.
I internalize that as Paul in his mind thinking, the best song I've written since yesterday is Teddy Boy. Why aren't we doing this? I'll never top Teddy Boy. Teddy Boy drives me crazy.
We didn't hear it. Did we? Or a little bit. We heard a little bit of it, right?
Yeah. We do get 9 minutes of grease paint on your face, which is
I love that.
It's so funny. How's that not a musical? How did
With
Paul
the
McCartney
cigar.
not ready? Elton John's got a fucking musical. Why is Paul McCartney? He's working on one. The Miracle on 34th Street adaptation is the musical he's working on. But
he's throwing motherfucker in there, so it can be an official Christmas movie.
see how it works?
Yeah.
There's another. Hold on a second here. I just lost my train of thought here. When they get back right, I feel like there's more real estate dedicated to getting Get Back right. It's, I think, the most takes of that in the rooftop as well, and then also throughout. It's so because it's like typical Paul, right? It's an easy song that's also super intricate and nuanced. So as they finally begin to get the tempo right and the groove right, it's so fun to see that thing come to fruition. That makes me very happy. And I love his improvising at the end as the cops are there. Mommy's waiting for her. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
police are going to arrest you. It's always been so funny.
And they get off time, but they get back on track, but they get a little lost during that
Yeah, they
moment,
do.
which is fun. Correction. Oh, sorry, Casey. Correction. The show Paul's working on is It's a Wonderful Life, motherfucker.
Thank you, Lee. Not Miracle on 34th Street. It's a Wonderful Life. That's right.
Sorry, we clobbered each other. I saw Prashanti's note, and I would love to hear your guys' take on this, because this seemed, you talked about George being happy for the first time, and it also felt like, wow, what a revealing thing to talk about his place. And Mike also calls out like that great quote of like, with my quote of his songs, I've got enough for the next 10 albums, where he finally feels safe enough, and it's while Paul's out of the room, which I think is like noteworthy.
Talking to John.
Where he finally opens up, and then we start talking about solo albums. What's your take on that?
Well, I like that John and Yoko were supportive of that, and they were right, and he did it. He chose to put 3 albums out at one time, you know. I mean, well 2 really.
2.5.
2.5.
Hey, thanks for the pepperoni. I thought that was a fascinating moment, and what's great is what we knew in hindsight. To Tony's point, it all came out with 2 of the best songs in Abbey Road are George songs, and then All Things Must Pass is classic after classic after classic. Everything But I Dig Love is an A+ on All Things Must Pass. So it totally worked. And then he started running out of steam a little bit with each successive record.
I could give him away, but decided, fuck that, I'm going to do them myself.
It was a great quote.
Yeah. I mean, when he left, it did kind of, that was him sort of asserting his power, and it worked. Like, the Beatles weren't going to become that, the Plastic Ono band or whatever, you know. They needed George, and it demanded that they listen to him. And I think that's why Something happened as a single and all that, you know.
His first A-side in the worldwide. I think Roll Over Beethoven was a single in the US, I think. So he did have an A-side in America.
He wrote. What was another? Oh, getting back. This is just a detail from the rooftop that I thought was cool. Piggybacking off that, we're all over the place. It's okay.
That's
when the cops finally arrive, which I believe is during the second take of Don't Let Me Down on the roof, when they finally arrive on the roof is what I'm getting at. And Paul notices him. He steps up his dance game. He shakes his tail feather at them a little bit.
The thing I wrote down in my notes was, "Oh, hey, police, did you come to see how sexy I am?" So good.
That was
just
so great.
Cranks it up a notch.
Oh yeah, that's what he was hoping for.
Funny.
You know, and in the anthology, you know, Ringo, I think, does it best when he was like, he wanted to be like taken away and dragged off the drums and stuff, but really was like, now, turn down that sound, lads, which is basically what it was. I also love that there was 3 young cops up there, but it took the sergeant, it took a cop with a mustache to get things turned off completely.
Totally.
Yes. Mal shut the amp off.
Mal was pleading with them.
Well, he was playing them a little bit. I'll shut the PA off, and it'll I think that'll take. It won't be as loud.
Right.
You know, this amplifier's really quiet. It was like you said, it was like early punked. Yeah, so Mal turns up, and I'm pretty sure that's Peter Jackson sweetening that moment with the click clack click sound effects. But he shuts off George first, and then John. So there's no guitar, so it's just the bass guitar. I'm sorry, bass keys and drums. And then George turns it back on, and Mal turns John back on.
We've seen a lot of the audience shots in the original Let It Be movie. But what we didn't see is that punk ass kid in the blazer talking about how he
the naysayers, right?
My note was, it's because it's all old dudes, and then this one young kid who I've deemed young Tucker Carlson, who's like, well, they've changed. I don't like them.
Yeah, that blonde.
After from me to you, fuck you.
Yeah, I called those guys. I had some British baking. They're like stodgy, soggy bottomed tea bags, man. All those naysayers.
I think there was one legitimate complaint, and it was the very nice seeming older lady who said, it woke me up from my sleep, and I don't like it.
Yes.
It's like, that's
Yeah.
legitimate. You know, everyone else here is being an asshole, but that lady, it woke her up. I mean, that's legit.
Yeah, it is kind of nap time. It's that
Yeah.
sweet spot. It's like 2 or 3 p.m. I think, right when
And
all this is
What are they in
happening.
Spain? What is it? Siesta? The fuck?
Who cares?
Nap
Could you
time.
imagine if you're in
Well,
your
they
place
will.
trying to sleep and some asshole, imagine what is the Beatles to her are probably like like what? to me?
Creed.
Creed,
No, I love Creed, so it's not Creed.
Creed. Get on.
like Justin
top.
Bieber or something
Could you
like.
imagine? Yeah, Nickelback. Just like while you're
Ooh.
like, I'm working the night shift and I'm trying to take a nap. That lady was totally justified.
Well,
Everyone
don't
else
live
is
in
just being
central London, man.
But isn't my
or
wife was
Westminster,
telling
wherever
me
they're at.
There's some musical that takes place and they talk. Oh, Annie. She was relating me. Apparently, in the musical Annie, they talk about Savile Row as like this really posh. You know, it's kind of like the Gold Coast of London, and I thought that was
Yes, it
helpful
is.
context. They, of
Yeah.
course, they're all upset that these young kids with their long hair and their loud music are making a racket, disrupting my business.
Yeah. Although it was fun to see a lot of the old Casey's Creed. Totally. I wish I could play a Creed song. I can't. What did Creed sing?
Oh,
Just go
sure
like,
you can.
just to like rip off Pearl Jam.
With arms wide open.
Oh, that's Creed. Sure. Yeah.
Untitled Creed. We did the Untitled Creed podcast, and it's half people from The Office wanting to see the guy from. He was in a band. What band was he in? I forget.
Oh, yeah.
Buffalo
yeah,
Springfield,
yeah.
right? Wasn't he in Buffalo Springfield or something?
No,
Or was it
it's-
Buffalo Tom?
Hold on, I'm googling
Buffalo
it.
Tom?
Boston's own. Good band. Buffalo
Oh.
Tom.
You
from
only have,
Boston.
like, one
Do I
hit.
get
The
a ding on that?
Grassroots. The Grassroots.
Oh, he's in the Grassroots. I like that band. I
What are they-
karaoke
what are
them
they?
in Midnight
Midnight
Confessions.
Confession.
When
Oh, no,
I
wait.
tell the
Yeah, that
world
was them,
that I
right?
love you. They had a couple other hits too that were really
Sooner
good.
or later. Yeah.
Everything's
I
new.
karaoke'd that in Toronto once, and nobody in Toronto knew what that song was.
You can only karaoke the Guess Who and Bryan Adams in Toronto.
And Rush.
Laughing. Rush
Do
karaoke's really
Working
hard.
Man and then get a drink and a smoke. I'm trying to find some more comments. Thank you all for joining us on this evening and commenting away.
How
I saw
about
someone
Linda
from
playing keys? Oh, I'm sorry, Tony. Quick. How about Linda playing keys and Don't Let Me Down? You shot a
I
Linda
think it
kind
was
of noodling and Don't Let Me
no,
Down.
it was cool. I want to say I think it was off. Meaning the console was off. I think, but I loved seeing that. I loved
Or
the
Mike
best.
playing keys. I can't remember which song it is, and then like they zoom in
Mike
and
McCartney,
the cover
it
is
is, right?
closed.
Yeah, the cover's closed, and then he starts
Okay.
operating the camera. There were so many great moments. I just want to throw this out there, Paul. Hello from Australia. Good day. Hey, good day.
Hey,
Foster's.
Paul. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it January in Australia? How does that work?
And the water goes down the other way. It goes counterclockwise.
TJ understands the hemispheres the same way he understands time zones. I don't know if you caught that whole mountain time, central time from
Yeah.
a couple episodes ago.
It's not 9:54 Mountain. It's 8:54 Mountain. So why aren't we live?
Don't answer that.
We did get off to a late start, so maybe we can
That's
go
true.
a little,
We'll go a
little
little
longer.
Let's go to midnight. Fuck it. We'll do it
Terrible idea.
live.
I'll go on the roof.
Wait, question
Stand
for
by.
you. On the rooftop performance, in the original Michael Lindsay Hogg, did we have the shot of Kevin the human music stand for the Dig a Pony
No.
lyrics?
I
That
don't believe
was
so.
terrific.
Pretty
I
great.
love
Yeah.
that. That
Yeah.
was wild. Poor,
Yeah.
shitty job, but like he was happy to do it.
And it was
Good
so
on
funny. Is like in episode 2, doesn't Ringo unbox a music stand?
Yes,
Yeah, it's weird.
They,
you can't go to music stand. EMI, man, they're nickel and
Yeah.
diming.
It was it was very windy out there. I think I noticed like one of Ringo's tea towels went right off the snare drum like during the sound check of Get Back or whatever. So yeah, the music stand may not have withstood. It might have been a music fall. The final 3 songs being incomplete. Why not include them?
That's my complaint. Why not push the runtime? You're not on A Beatles C. Why not push the runtime 15 minutes and give us, even with different angles, what Michael Lindsay Hogg did so beautifully in the original Let It Be movie? Now, he played with time there because he ended Act 2. He ended the Savile Row portion with that, even though it was the day after the rooftop. But
Yes.
those are seminal. Those Let It Be, Long and Winding Road, Two of Us, and Let It Be are, and Let It Be, I think that was the single, right? Did I make that up? That the Let It Be take from the movie was the single? Am I making that up?
No, I believe they even caption it. You're talking about The Last Day when they do Let
Yeah.
It Be. Yeah, I think that's the master. Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
which
sure.
so why not include the whole thing? I thought the credits interspersed were a little strange.
Yeah, that was a disappointment. That was a disappointment. I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say that I understand why that was done, because the climax of the movie is the rooftop, and we've heard all three of those songs numerous times already. So if they were in their full, it would just seem, I don't know what it might seem. I don't know. What do you call it? Like belt and suspenders when you do it too much. Redundant. It might seem redundant. Also, it gives me hope that maybe there will be the Michael Lindsay Hogg cut available
That's
where we can see Besame
yes.
Mucho and those things you mentioned.
Cha-cha
Cha-cha
boom.
boom.
Yes, and I have the same note written down, Tony, and I said this for a couple other things. Like there were a few other original Michael Lindsay Hogg edits that were either cut short or not in here, and on some level, whether consciously or not, that we must get a remastered Michael Lindsay Hogg Let It Be on home video for the first time since 1980 something, because this movie, as great as it is and is a dramatic improvement over what Michael Lindsay Hogg did, also underlines how important the Michael Lindsay Hogg contribution is to Beatles canon. We need it. We deserve it. It's going to be $600 with two gnomes. I'll buy it.
I had an observation about the Michael Lindsay Hogg cut. So clearly, it seems that his frustration ramps up when they move out of Twickenham into Apple Studios, and he's kind of like, he said it, like, all I have is farting and nose picking. I have no story. I feel like, I wonder when he got into the editing room, like, did he cut this with anger, and his choice to make the story of a heartbreaking one about the demise of the world's greatest band or whatever? I felt like maybe there was some frustration at the Beatles that was taken out in the edit on Let It Be, and that's why it's such a sour experience.
Yes, and I firmly believe that without the benefit of hindsight, when did that come out? May of 1970?
Yeah.
So a year and 3 months or so after all this took place, that's all he knew. We didn't have all the hindsight and all the stories and everything else. That was in the immediate past. So I don't begrudge Michael Lindsay Hogg for his creative choice there. It's what he lived, it's what he went with, and it existed. Warts and all, as they say.
Do they break
well, now
up?
We're going to get right back to that. Don't go anywhere. If you watch the Taylor Swift doc that came up next on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that in part 4?
Here's the thing. There's no Beatles. There's no Santa Claus. There's no God. No,
Jesus. Tony only believes in heat. I'm going to have to append spoiler alerts to the front end of this now in post. Taking notes here.
It would have been nice if there was like an epilogue, like the fan magazine things, like, all right, there's one Beatle album from 1971. What songs are on it?
Oh, they just did that on what do you call it? That other, my favorite other Beatles podcast, something about the Beatles. Their last episode
I'm way behind on that one. It's a great cast. I'm way behind.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, they put together like what they thought would be like the Beatles albums if they went to like 73 or something like that. It's a fascinating listen.
Oh, and Lee also called out, I was telling you guys about this. I thought it was Nothing Is Real, but yeah, it's the Things We Said Today podcast. They got 4 hours with Peter Jack. Not to shit on our own podcast. I'm clearly not doing my job correctly, but I've heard that this is terrific too. Thanks for the reco, Lee.
Maybe we can get the doorman, Jimmy Clark, or the receptionist, Debbie Wellham, Find
I gotta
them,
start
Casey.
Googling. I'm working on it. Also, am I a bad producer for promoting other podcasts on our podcast?
No, I
No,
think this is a Beatles.
I don't think I'm doing this right.
it's
a
great.
Beatles
It's
world.
sold. It's a bloody Beatles podcast. Shut up.
Yeah. I was gonna say, after when it finished, I watched it again at 6. I got up at like 5 something and finished it around 8 in the morning, first run, and I had a bout of, what do you call it, like astronaut's gloom. You know what I mean? Like when the dudes come back from space and they've been to the moon and then they come back to Earth and they're just depressed because it's like, well, now what can I do? You know, I've done, like, I feel like we've seen, like, what else can top that? In other words, have we seen, like, this is it. The only thing left is Carnival of Light, which sucks.
What a mess that's going to be when that does come out. It could be anything too. It need not even be the original. No, I never heard of astronaut syndrome. What do you call it?
Well, I came up with it. I remember hearing as a kid that the astronauts that came back from the moon suffered from like severe depression. So I called it astronauts gloom.
You think the media was telling you the truth? Come on, man.
But that idea of like, reaching like a peak and knowing that that's the peak, what else is left? I don't know. They didn't film all those other albums. So,
well,
our eyes don't have much more other than like Around the Beatles. And I don't know what else.
2026 will be the 40th of Press to Play.
What about Tickle the Bottoms of my Adidas?
Linda's kisses in the bottom of its thing. Yeah, you bring up a great point. We've reached the Holy Grail. I believe the
Good
next
old Frida.
Good old Frida, the remaster of Good Old Frida. It's a good doc, by the way.
AG, thank you. It's called AG. It's